A team of the living going against the Night King, and the Queen who sat it out, and how this alliance came together, showcasing the true character of our main protagonist and antagonist.
They're coming. Our enemy doesn't tire, doesn't stop, doesn't feel.
This coming Sunday, April 14, 2019, the final season of Game of Thrones will begin. Season 7 of Game of Thrones definitely got all of our characters to where they needed to be, but the way in which they got there is questionable at best. So let's try not to sink into the plot holes too deep and enjoy the series that we love so much. I'm Justin Thomas, your host from TopShelf Fandom. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to do so now, and if you'd like to support creativity, check out our Patreon in the information below. Let's do this. Before we end the series that we love so much, let's take a good look at how we got here. When looking at who's going to end up on the Iron Throne, or how the Night King's going to be defeated, or if the Night King will be defeated, or if there'll be an Iron Throne, we need to take a few things into consideration. Let's think Game of Thrones is a series that questions power itself, the very validity of it, where it lies, and so forth.
3 great men sit in a room, a king, a priest, and a rich man. Between them stands a common sellsword. Each great man bids the sellsword kill the other 2. Who lives, who dies?
Depends on the sellsword.
Does it? He has neither crown nor gold, nor favor with the gods.
He has a sword, the power of life and death.
But if it's swordsmen who rule, why do we pretend kings hold all the power?
Knowledge is power.
Sellsword is a man dictated by money. He will go with the rich man. The sellsword is a pious man. He will go with the priest.
I've changed my mind, let him go.
A stickler for feudalism, then he is going to do whatever the king asks him. The people attribute the value to the institution.
Close your eyes. Power is power.
So it questions what makes a good ruler.
What is a good king's single most important quality?
This is hardly the place or the time.
We should hit King's Landing now. Hard. It
seems like at every turn Dany is faced with if she should or should not use a military power and force to secure her very goal, which is the Iron Throne.
I was born to rule the 7 kingdoms.
The lords of Westeros are sheep. Are you a sheep? You're a dragon. Be a dragon.
If you use them to melt castles and burn cities, you're not different. You're just more of the same.
Dany arrives in the first episode to claim her birthright, the Iron Throne, but doesn't want to claim the throne through birthright alone.
I am not here to be Queen of the Ashes.
She wants to win the love of the people. Jon Snow is in the north trying to not only keep his people's support, but keep his people alive and keep, frankly, everybody alive.
How do I convince people who don't know me that an enemy they don't believe in is coming to kill them all?
Good question.
I know it's a good question. I'm looking for an answer.
People's minds aren't made for problems that large. White Walkers, the Night King, Army of the Dead. It's almost a relief to confront a comfortable, familiar monster like my sister.
In the capital, Cersei Lannister is in self-preservation mode without the restraints of her father and finally has a chance to show what she's all about. So we see all of our characters with their backs against the wall. True character comes out when we see the actions that are taken when they have the most on the line. Because remember, risk and opportunity are equal in measure. Sometimes the biggest risk is finally getting that opportunity you've been begging for. Cersei Lannister is a perfect example. Now that Tywin's gone, somebody Cersei thought never saw her true potential, has no reason to claim she's being overlooked now. Nothing's holding you back anymore. You better put on a good show.
I considered your father a very effective and efficient man, but you appear to be redefining those terms entirely.
Daughter takes the Iron Throne, she'll destroy the realm as we know it. Some of you are bannermen of House Tyrell, but House Tyrell is in open rebellion against the crown.
Queen summons me, I answer the call. And I've heard what she does to those who defy her.
You're too kind, my lord.
All of our major players are playing the game in one way or another. When Dany arrives at Dragonstone, she has no shortage of allies.
Did you see 3 dragons flying overhead when you arrived?
I did.
And did you see the Dothraki? All of whom have sworn to kill for me.
They're hard to miss.
But even within Dany's own camp, they all have their guns pointed in the same direction, yes, but the reason they're pulling the trigger varies vastly. Dany has a situation where she has a lot of veterans of the game on her side. Olenna Tyrell is warning Dany against the idea of trying to win the love of the people. This is understandable and have empathy for Olenna in this situation, but it's important to remember that the people didn't kill Marjorie. Cersei did.
To you, she will pay for what she's done. And we will bring peace back to Westeros.
Peace. Do you think that's what we had under your father? Or his father? Or his? Peace never lasts, my dear.
I am not here to be Queen of the Ashes.
That's very nice to hear. Of course, I can't remember a queen who was better loved than my granddaughter. The common people loved her. The nobles loved her. What is left of her now? Ashes.
Those around her want her on the throne, but they all want her on the throne for different reasons. So their advice and their tactics are very much so not in line with Dany's.
Called war. You don't have the stomach for it. Scurry back into hiding.
I know how you wage war. We don't poison little girls here.
Dany's arrival puts our characters in a precarious situation, as well as Dany's arrival coinciding with the Night King's arrival at the Wall, giving her very tough decisions to make, especially when she's trying to ethically conquer Westeros when potentially facing imminent destruction. Season 7 does work as essentially a lot of the big players pitching why people should follow them or why people have to follow them.
You were the first to bring Dothraki to Westeros. He is the first to make allies of wildlings and Northmen. He was named Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. He was named King in the North. Not because of his birthright. He has no birthright. He's a damn bastard. All those hard sons of bitches chose him as their leader because they believe in him. All those things you don't believe in, he faced those things. He fought those things for the good of his people. He risked his life for his people. He took a knife in the heart for his people. He gave his own...
Two examples from Season 7 of Jon's approach to Daenerys Targaryen's arrival.
And if this message is to be believed, 3 dragons.
He sees opportunity in Dany's arrival.
Lord Tyrion has invited me to Dragonstone, and I'm going to accept. We need allies. The Night King's army grows large.
Opposed to how Cersei deals with the situation.
The Mad King's daughter has ferried an army of savages to our shores. Mindless, unsullied soldiers who will destroy your castles and your holdfasts. Dothraki heathens who will burn your villages to the ground. Rape and enslave your women. And butcher your children without a second thought.
Looking at people trying to play the Game of Thrones, and who do we think should rule, we need to look at aspects such as what people say they're going to do and what people actually do. Characterization and character. We see the people that follow them as well. We get to see how people are coerced, are they just forced?
Blood, it's the town for you.
All my life I wanted to see the Red Keep.
Are they just make bad decisions?
And the Dragon Pit, it's a damn ruin.
The people who live there, they'd skin you alive if they could make 2 coppers off your hide.
Worst place in the world.
Are great decisions either way. Debate, decision, and action. We see Jon talking about what he wants to do and how he wants to do it.
There's no time for any of this. While we stand here debating,
It takes no time to bend the knee. Pledge your sword to her cause.
and why would I do that?
We see him selling that to his people.
I mean no offense, Your Grace, but I don't know you. As far as I can tell, your claim to the throne rests entirely on your father's name, and my own father fought to overthrow the Mad King. The Lords of the North placed their trust in me to lead them, and I will continue to do so as well as I can.
Then we have to see what he does to sell it to Dany.
They were here together. The children and the first men.
Doing what?
They fought together against their common enemy. Despite their differences, despite their suspicions.
This leads to a lot of great conversations when looking to see who's fit to rule. We're at the final act in our story. This is where you see resolution gained through actions of our characters using the skills they've learned throughout their trials and tribulations.
And you took your army, your real army, and went where they weren't.
As Robb Stark did to me at Whispering Wood.
They're not always skills that you obtain, they're biases.
What do they all lack?
Wisdom.
Yes.
Wisdom is what makes a good king.
Yes.
Years before that, during the long night, we can forgive them for thinking it truly was the end, but it wasn't. None of it was. The Wall has stood through it all.
It takes more than just having bad experiences to learn your lesson. We see reoccurring events throughout history, mostly bad, and the sad fact is we don't always learn our lessons.
There are always lessons in failures.
Yes. You must be very wise by now.
Fit to rule are what is effective when it comes to trying to establish your rule. Another big aspect of A Song of Ice and Fire, good intentions do not guarantee good results. We see a fantastic example of this with Tyrion's attempt to take Castle Rock, how the soldiers will overcome the odds because they're fighting for something they believe in. He's putting a lot of faith in the purity of the dedication in which the Unsullied definitely have, as well as just good intent.
They will face the bulk of the Lannister forces. They will be outnumbered. They will have less armor and fewer weapons. But my sister's armies fight for her out of fear. The Unsullied will be fighting for something greater. They will be fighting for freedom and the person who gave it to them. They will be fighting for you. That is why they will triumph.
Actions do not guarantee good results. In fact, they usually don't in this series. We see the folly of that with Tyrion here.
Melisandre Zebrozix.
She once served another who wanted the Iron Throne. It didn't end well for Stannis Baratheon, did it?
No, it didn't.
You chose an auspicious day to arrive at Dragonstone. We've just decided to pardon those who once served the wrong king. The Lord of Light doesn't have many followers in Westeros, does he?
Not yet. But even those who don't worship the Lord can serve his cause.
What does your Lord expect from me?
Bosses bantis amazis, merikivio dolalaris, os machagon contas.
The prince who was promised will bring the dawn. I'm afraid I'm not a prince.
Your Grace, forgive me, but your translation is not quite accurate. That noun has no gender in High Valyrian, so the proper translation for that prophecy would be the prince or princess who was promised will bring the dawn.
Doesn't really roll off the tongue, does it?
No, but I like it better.
Never, mark my words, never would there be a literal fulfillment of a prophecy. Fundamental misunderstanding of the story. Self-fulfilled, maybe. Third party, most likely. The gods do things. Why they do things, we don't know. They raise people for no reason. They show some people stuff in the fire for no reason, but also narrative on people looking to find reasons for what's happening. The Hound has probably seen something in the fire, whether it's the Lord of Light showing it to him or not. It's not clear, but the point is the Hound is in a place in his life where he's looking for some sort of reason for things to be the way they are. He is both a perpetrator of violence and a victim of violence. He is scarred. He's looking for a reason to exist. He is in a bad place. So people search for belief. And you should never, like Tyrion says, should never believe something's true just because you want it to be true. And that's essentially how these prophecies go.
The things that he has seen with his own eyes.
I can't speak to prophecies or visions in the flame, but I like Jon Snow and I trusted him.
They're not looking to get onto the throne and telling everybody that they're important. They're looking to get into a position to help people. So in theory, if the market dictates the value, the demand should be up for people like Jon and Dany.
Incompetence should not be rewarded with blind loyalty. As long as I have my eyes, I'll use them.
Euron Greyjoy has the exact opposite in mind.
Still, it bothers me. Murdering them would make me feel a lot better. And since it appears that all our treasonous family members are fighting for the same side, I thought we rightful monarchs could murder them together.
We also have a new king, Euron Greyjoy, who won the popular vote at the King's Moot, did get the crown, but was not able to hold on to the largest fleet, so feudal succession out the window with Tommen, and the math sunk by the Drowned Gods in the Iron Islands.
Stronger, better allies. We can't win this war alone.
I think I listened to Father for 40 years and learned nothing.
Tywin, throughout his life before the gold dried up in Castle Rock, would loan money to the monarch knowing he could not be paid back, but would be paid back not fiscally, but with a different type of currency. He'd be paid back with clout, power. Made sure that if he did not have an adequate successor, somebody that was just as ruthless as him, he has killed his family. Now, everybody that was waiting to come at the Lannisters are coming at the Lannisters.
We never talked about Tommen.
There's nothing to say.
Our baby boy killed himself.
He betrayed me. He betrayed us both. Should we spend our days mourning the dead, mother, father, and all our children?
Cersei.
I loved them, I did. But they're ashes now, and we're still flesh and blood.
I enjoyed watching it. I truly did.
I enjoy